me back to my own experience. If you see this box on the floor, this is not a prop. These are letters that my family wrote back and forth to my dad. This whole box represents our life. You can see my dad has done a lot. He was in the Air Force. He was a career man. The contents of this box contains letters like my mom writing to him in Vietnam, telling him that she had their first child. She decided to name her Anne. There's also, I found this, to Dad, from Anne and Loretta. I was 4 years old. The most important thing in my life, I was in kindergarten, the ABCs, and a drawing of a pig, because we lived on a pig farm in Alaska, or in Wagner while he was in Alaska. So just everyday things that he missed out on, plus the big things. So when you guys are thinking about the way that you communicate with your loved ones, you know, hey mom, what's for supper on your text? Imagine all of that being done through letters. Because back then, there wasn't phones, there wasn't social media. It was letters, and it would take weeks for the letter to get to the recipient and weeks for the next one for a response. So the couple of things that I want you guys to learn from this play is number one, the gentlemen who stood up a while ago to be recognized and their families have been through a lot more than you could probably even start to fathom. So they deserve your respect and they deserve your honor. And the other thing is, if you have your parents at home nagging on you every day, be grateful for that privilege. Be grateful that you have them at home to communicate with you there, even if it's that way, instead of having to live through letters in a box. And then this is Becky, you can turn off lights.
Test. Is it on? Is it working?
Test.
Jack got his orders today. He's going overseas. He'll be gone 6 months. I guess that's not so long. We've never been this far apart before.
Karen called today. Jack is going overseas. I had hoped that his unit would stay at home. I guess they're needed.
Daddy got some kind of lemon today. He has to go over to Europe for a while. Mom says we'll be just fine.
We've never been this far apart before. I don't know how Mary and I will cope without Jack here. But I'm sure we'll be fine. We'll manage.
Grandma phoned last night. Daddy talked to her for a long time. I think he was upset.
I think I always knew this day would come. I remember when Jack first told me he wanted to join the military. He was so happy, so proud. His father would have been proud as well. Lloyd had fought in the military in World War II and in Korea. He was proud to serve his country. In some strange way, I think Jack needed to follow in his father's footsteps.
I remember our first date. Jack and I met at the Riverside Dance Hall the week before. We hit it off almost immediately. The next Friday night, we went to a movie. That's when I learned Jack was in basic training. I didn't know much about the armed forces then. We fell in love very quickly. I didn't think about the possibility of Jack going to war. Being young and in love helps you fight off life's monsters.
Daddy's leaving in 2 days. He took me to the movies last night. It was just the two of us. Afterward, we went to McDonald's. Then we stopped at an empty parking lot by the school, and he let me drive. He said that I did pretty good for the first time.
Jack called this morning. He leaves tomorrow. I told him to be careful. He said he would. He said he loved me.
Jack left today. I tried not to cry at the airstrip, but I couldn't. The drive home with Mary and I was very quiet. The house seems almost too big without Jack in it. I don't want to go to sleep tonight. I'm sure the bed will seem too big too.
Daddy's been gone a week already. This is the second letter that I'm writing to him. I just never realized how much there is to tell him.
We got a letter from Jack today. He says he's fine. The weather there is cold, colder than it is here. He's in some general briefing sessions now, but expects to get shipped into the hot zone within a few days. He says he will enjoy the warmer temperatures there. That's what I love about Jack. He always finds the humor in everything. I remember this one time when we went up in the mountains and we locked the keys in the car. It was getting dark and I was getting worried, but not Jack. A few moments later and he had me laughing right along with him. Life is one big adventure for Jack. He never panics. He's always calm, cool, collected. I guess that's why he's such a good soldier.
I remember when Lloyd went overseas the first time. We'd only been married a month. I wanted to wait, but Lloyd insisted that we get married before he went. I suppose I was afraid that I would be a widow before I got to be a wife.
Dear Dad, the dog next door barked all night again. I couldn't get any sleep at all. I just wish the owners would take better care of him. School's pretty good. I like all of my teachers this year, especially Mr. Tate. I'm really enjoying math for the first time because of him. He really seems to know how to get it across to us. Maybe you'll be impressed with my report card this year. I'll be sure to send you a copy. Actually, I guess I better go do some homework for tomorrow. I love you, Daddy. I really do miss you a lot.
This postcard came today. It's from Jack. He says he's fine. I've never heard of the place in the picture. Looks quite pretty, really. I don't suppose it looks like that now. It's hard to imagine that this little piece of paper has come from a place of death and destruction. I wonder what kind of mayhem it's seen. I wonder if Jack saved it from a fiery death. Jack touched this card. These are his words. I hope someone is looking after him.
My dearest Jack, it is hard to believe that you've been gone 6 weeks already. I thought that it would get easier as the time went by, but that is not the case. It is difficult being both mother and father to Mary. My dearest Jack, another week has passed. In less than 5 months, you will be home again. Mary and I are doing fine. We have finished digging up all the garden and put the vegetables in the cold room. Mary has been such a big help. She is growing up so quickly. I am sure you will notice a difference in her when you return. We have put all the garden tools away, including the lawnmower. I hope we put them in all the right places. I guess we'll find out next spring when you go to bring them back out. Our snow shovel looks pretty awful. I think Mary and I will go shopping for a new one this weekend. There's no snow in the forecast, but you know how quickly the weather can change here. Oh, Mary is going to a school dance this Friday night. She's been busy all week deciding what to wear. And of course, she has a hair appointment right after school on Friday. As you can imagine, she seems to be on the phone almost constantly this past week. I will drive her and a couple of her friends to the school. Then I will pick them up afterwards. She is very excited. Oh, Jack. Why do you have to miss all this?
I found these old letters yesterday from Lloyd when he was in Europe and in Korea. I kept them all these years. I don't know why. My darling Will, we stopped to wait for supplies before pressing on. I thought I'd better take this opportunity to drop you a note. I don't know when the next chance will come. The supply troop will pick up our letters. It's getting worse every day here. We keep pressing on into enemy territory. As a result, we are in daily battles. You have to keep your wits about you all the time. Remember Al Stanky from over on Pleasant Street? He was killed yesterday. A sniper got him. But don't worry, I'm very careful. I use all my training and my good common sense. I am determined to come back to you all in one piece. I think about you every day, Lil. You know that old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder? Well, it's true. I never knew I could miss you as much as I do.
I got a letter from Daddy today. A letter all on my own. My dearest Mary, I'm sorry it's taken so long to write you personally. As you can imagine, things get pretty hectic over here. Most days, we don't have a lot of time to ourselves, but you are always in my thoughts. Mom told me a bit about your school dance. I hope you had a good time. I'll bet you were the prettiest girl there. That's because you got your mother's looks. I suppose all the boys were after you to dance with them. I remember those days, how all of us boys were made over the pretty girls. But I'm sure you handled them well. I hope you didn't have to use any of those special combat moves I taught you. I can't tell you much about my life here. Security and all the normal soldier stuff. Some days are better than others. I just have to believe that we are doing some good over here. I really do miss being with you and Mom. I know I probably haven't told you this enough when I'm home. But I really do love you. Love you always, Dad.
This is the last letter I ever received from Lloyd. My darling Lil, we are holed up in a small village for the night. It used to be a pretty place, I am sure. There is a big market area in the middle of everything, just like in Europe. We are bunking in what used to be a restaurant. From what I can tell, there was an outdoor eating area, kind of like that place down by the lake we used to go to. I wish we could be there now. Those days seem so long ago. When I get home, promise me we'll go back there. I can't wait. I can't wait until this whole mess is over and we're together again. I love you, Lil, and I always will. I love you, Lil, and I always will.
Fine. I'm sure you know she is stressed about you being gone, but she seems to be holding up well. She talked quite a bit about your father. I wish I could have known it. She speaks so fondly of him. He seems like such a good man. I am sure that you have some of his qualities. Jack, I don't want to end up like your mother. I don't want a shoebox marriage.
I caught Mom crying last night. She was writing her letter to Dad. She tried to stop when I came in, but she couldn't help herself. We had a long talk about Daddy being overseas. When I asked her why she was crying, she said some days being without Daddy gets her down. She asked me how I felt about Daddy being gone, and I said I miss him very much, especially in the evenings. I don't really feel frightened now that he's not here. I just feel uncomfortable. Maybe that's how Mom feels. Maybe she's not frightened at all.
I spoke with Lillian yesterday. We had a long talk about Jack. I know she's been through this before. This and even worse. I fear the worst might happen to me. I don't know what I would do, how I would manage. But I know I would have to for Mary's sake. She has her whole life ahead of her. Jack was only 7 years old when his father died. Lillian said it was very difficult. She just had to live day to day until she could create a new life for herself. But the fact is, I don't want a new life. I like the one I have.
I spoke with Karen today. She seems pretty tense, maybe even a little bit afraid. I remember those feelings. I tried not to dwell on my fears, but in the quiet moments, all I could think about was what I would do if Lloyd never came back. The worst was trying to fall asleep at night. Your worst nightmares occur in that dreadful eternity before sleep. I don't think I was much use to Karen. She's going through a living nightmare. No one can save her.
Mary's birthday is coming up soon. I know we talked about a TV for her room before you left, but I'm having second thoughts. It seems too extravagant. Besides, her room is not wired for cable, and that would be an extra cost. If you were here, I know you could just do it yourself. Maybe we should wait until you come home. Of course, once Mary's birthday is over, it is only a few short weeks until Christmas. I'm glad we got all the big presents before you left. I think I'll still buy a few little things for her. I don't even want to think about Christmas without you. But on the bright side, once Christmas is over, it's only 4 weeks before you come home. That would be the best Christmas present ever.
This is from Dad. It's early, but I guess he wanted to make sure it got here before my birthday. He wrote a note with it. Happy birthday. Dear Mary, I remember the day you were born. I was so excited. Over the years, I have watched you grow, and I am very proud of the person you have become. Even though you are becoming a young lady, you will always be my baby girl. I hope you have a great birthday. Love you always, Dad.
It's Mary's birthday next week. I remember the day she was born. Jack was so excited, just like Lloyd was when Jack was born. Jack was our first. His real name is Jackson. That was my maiden name. Lloyd insisted that our children carry both our names. Lloyd had a unique sense of tradition. I guess it was the soldier in him. It's strange, isn't it? Jack spent the first half of his life fighting everything his father stood for. And the second half of his life, trying to be just like him. I know that Lloyd would be proud of his son.
Mary's birthday went well. The night before, we went to dinner and then a movie. I let her pick the restaurant, so you know where we went. She loves that place. She had some friends over for a sleepover on her birthday. They did all the usual girl things. I don't know what time they finally got to sleep. I went to the grocery store at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were still all sacked out. She's growing up far too fast for me. It won't be long now before she will be leaving home. Then there will be just you and me in this big house. At least, I hope there will be you and me.
I'm going to Jack and Karen's for a week over Christmas. Usually they come here, but with Jack being deployed, I think it's best if Karen and Mary stay off the roads. I can take the bus. It'll be different not being home for Christmas, but you know what they say, a change is as good as a rest. Besides, I'll be with family, and that's all that matters.
I've invited your sister and her family for Christmas. They will arrive on Christmas Eve and stay for 2 days. Your mother will be coming on the bus on December 22nd. I wanted to go pick her up, but she insisted on taking the bus. You come by your stubborn streak, honestly. It will seem strange not being at your mother's place for Christmas. Of course, there will be a lot of strange things happening this Christmas. Do you realize that this is the first time we have ever spent Christmas apart? I remember our first holiday together. It was in that old apartment building on Elm Street. Remember how we scratched together enough money for that small turkey? And then I almost burnt it to a crisp. We've had some good times together. Christmas without you just doesn't seem fair.
Dear Dad, thank you so much for your Christmas presents. I like every single one, especially the one you sent from over there. It was so special because I know you picked it out just for me. I'm going to put yours and Mom's picture in it. That way, you'll always be with me. I really miss having you here at Christmas. I have been doing a lot of thinking over the holidays. I hope you and all the other peacekeepers can put a stop to all this nonsense. It would be nice if everyone practiced peace on Earth. Then you wouldn't ever have to be away from us. Ever.
Mary seemed a little different over the holidays. Nothing bad. She wasn't sick or anything. She was just a little distant at times. She left the room every time the news came on. Now that all the holiday festivities are over, I think I will find some time to talk to her.
And another thing that I find strange is that we have to keep peace with armies. It seems that the only way we can get some people to live in peace is by force. I always thought that peace and goodwill should be natural, not imposed. Perhaps I'm too young to understand how the world works. I hope you can explain it to me when you come home, Dad.
Dear Karen and Mary, thank you for your hospitality over the Christmas holidays. A special thank you for all the wonderful gifts. You're both so thoughtful. I know it was hard for both of you this Christmas, with Jack being away and all. I think we all managed. know I already started counting the days. God bless you both.
Our platoon just finished our Christmas dinner. Needless to say, it wasn't like the dinners at home. We are back to work first thing tomorrow morning. I can't believe this tour is almost over. I have tried not to count the days, but lately I can't help myself. As long as I can avoid counting the hours, I think I will be all right. I'm being extra careful these days. I think about you and Mary almost constantly. Sometimes it is hard to imagine being at home again.
Jack will be coming home in less than 2 weeks. This has been the longest 6 months of my life. I remember when Lloyd came home after World War II. I was so happy to see him, to hold him. It was as if I fell in love all over again. I wonder how it will be to hold my son again.
I can't believe Jack's tour has finally come to an end. 6 months without Jack. I can't wait to see him, to actually hold him. I feel like a schoolgirl with a crush on the football captain. My hero is finally coming home.
It's less than 2 weeks now. I can't believe it, but it's true. There isn't even any point in writing a letter because there isn't enough time for it to get to Daddy. I can't wait. I'm going to give him a big hug. I won't ever let him go.
They delivered this letter an hour ago. They stayed with me to help me through it. I regret to inform you that your husband, Jackson, was killed in action on January 20th. Jackson was killed in crossfire while my husband died. How can anybody help me through this?
Harry got the letter today. The one we all dread. First Lloyd. Now, I lost my son. My son's dead. Oh, my son! What man?
Mommy got a letter. I lost my dad today. He's never coming home.